Good evening and thank you for joining us for Crimson News at 6 tonight. I'm Mark Hanrahan. Whitney is off. There are at least 31 new fires in Washington after lightning storms this week. Most of those fires are being fought on difficult to reach terrain by air crews. Our Whitney Ward is in Okanogan County tonight at the largest wildfires burning in the state right now. Together, the Cub and Cedar Creek fires are burning more than 100,000 acres combined.
Poor air quality is what grounded most of the air support here in Okanogan County today for both the Cub Creek fire and the Cedar Creek fire. Combined, those two are by far the biggest here in Washington state. Only a few miles actually separate the two fire lines. And as you take a look around here, just to kind of take in all that has already been destroyed, I just want to throw a few numbers at you to give you a little perspective. So far, about 110,000 acres have burned. A total of 1,500 firefighters on the ground and in the air trying to establish some level of containment. Right now, it's only at about 25%. This terrain, though, is not making their job easy. It is remote, it is steep, it is very rugged. This, of course, remember, this is not the type of area where you just get on a main road and drive to the fire line. And that is why air support has been playing such a critical role here. 16 helicopters are assigned here just to these two fires tonight. Now, I spoke to one woman today who was evacuated when the fire swept through this area. We're right near the Chewok River. She said it's been devastating to the community to lose so much of the landscape and, of course, the property. And despite how much she loves it here, she tells me it's actually become one of the scariest parts of living here in Okanogan County summer after summer.
And we're family. And we've gone through this so many times that we know what to do.
But what is it like living under that constant threat of wildfire, knowing that any summer could be the one that comes to claim your house?
Well, you certainly hope that it never happens, but you prepare yourself.
Do you feel lucky knowing how close that fire was to right here?
I feel blessed. I feel blessed.
As of tonight, I'm told about 800 people are under evacuation orders. Most of them are from the Cedar Creek fire, which is really only about 4 miles from the Cub Creek fire. Crews tell me tonight they're just focused on getting through the severe weather, or at least the potential of severe weather, and to strengthen the existing fire lines. You also mentioned there's been more activity on the north end of this fire?
Correct. So this is kind of the area that they were doing that firing operation in yesterday, and that weather is potentially the winds are potentially coming this way, and so that's where they really want to make sure that nothing in this area is able to pick up and head across.
Now, so far there has not been a lot of thunderstorm activity here yet, but I have definitely noticed the winds starting to pick up here in the last few hours, and the potential for extreme fire behavior is high. They're expecting significant wind as well as the possibility of dry lightning as we move into the evening. Before we wrap up here tonight, I just want to throw one more number at you. More than $36 million has already been spent here at the state level just fighting these two fires here in Okanogan County. And of course, the job is far from done yet. In Okanogan County, I'm Whitney Ward, KREM 2 News.
Says more than 8,000 acres near Orofino, Idaho. The Cougar Rock Complex is made up of 10 different wildfires, each of which started from lightning. About 350 people are working the fire. It's currently 42% contained. Crews are expecting conditions to worsen due to the current red flag warning and incoming thunderstorms. There is a temporary flight restriction in place over the complex on top of several other closures. The Idaho Department of Land's Facebook page will be a good resource for updates on those closures. We are currently tracking fires across the inland Northwest. For updates on all those fires burning in our area, just head to KREM.com, where you can text the word fire to 509-448-2000 and we'll send that link directly to your phone. A red flag warning remains in effect for much of the region tonight. Of course, it is Thursday, so aside from tracking the forecast, Tom also grilling up his barbecue forecast tonight. And Tom, my goodness, you have a good one tonight.
I do have a good one tonight. Take a look at this, my friends. I've got 3 of these beautiful fillets. Can you see that okay there? Oh my gosh. Fresh salmon. This is wild caught salmon right here. I've seasoned it with some of my favorite seasonings, and then we've kind of garnished it with yellow, with lemons, as well as some red onion. And then we've got a bunch of lemons that you can cut up and squeeze the juice out on if you like doing that. It's very clean. It's very fast. It does attract the wasp though. So if you hear me make a noise with a high pitched, it sounds like Matt's or Mark Hanrahan's daughter. That would be me. Go away, you little guy. And then look at this. This is a beautiful, fresh Greek cucumber salad right there. What do you think of that, Roger? Great, he loves that. Okay, good one. Okay, let's do this. Boy, that guy just loves it. Boy, they love the salmon, those wasps do. Let's go over here, shall we? Follow me over here to this one. We're going to throw those on the grill, by the way, I should mention, as soon as I'm done with doing this with you folks. And it will only take maybe 15 to 20 minutes on medium, high, or medium for this to cook up. We're going to cook it right there in the foil. Should be delightful. Red flag warning, as Mark was mentioning, all across these areas you see shaded in red, and that's because of the lightning now that is moving into the area. That will be through this evening. This is great, though. The air quality index now is in the moderate range. So on Tuesday, when we were talking about doing the barbecue forecast, we were thinking, hey, we can't get out there because our air quality is going to be unhealthy. But because yesterday it really cleaned up, and now with the rain that moved through a bit today with the thunderstorms, it mixed up the lower levels of the atmosphere. That's cooled off our daytime highs, and it's also cleaned up our air quite a bit. Right now we're at 80 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. Wind is out of the southeast at 5 miles an hour. Tracking another round of rain that is headed our way. You can see it right there moving through Oregon and then now moving into southeastern Washington. There's that line of showers and thunderstorms right about at the little farming town of Washtenaw. We're seeing a little bit of rain also moving through kind of the Asotin area and then more behind it. So we could get more showers even in the Spokane area later this evening. So we're calling for scattered thunderstorms and showers. We'll see an overnight low of 62 degrees, 85 the expected high tomorrow. Partly cloudy, a bit on the breezy side, 20 to 25 mile an hour winds. And then for the weekend, my gosh, sunny on Saturday and 82, 75. The cool daytime high expected on Sunday with a slight chance of a few showers then. I'll have a look at your 10-day forecast coming up in a few minutes. Also give you what I think is the best day to get out in your backyard and do some grilling. That's coming up.
Looking forward to all that, Tom. By the way, if you want to cook the salmon alongside Tom, just text BBQ to 509-448-2000 or send us a picture of what you're grilling tonight, and we can show it right here on the broadcast.
Love that. Hey, we've got our meteorologist Thomas Patrick now in the studio. We talked about these thunderstorms around the region and the potential that they could even cause a few more wildfires. Thomas?
Yeah, and that's right. So when we get this elevated fire danger, we see red flag warnings get issued. Those last until 11 o'clock this evening. Sometimes we get what's called dry lightning or dry thunderstorms that can prompt that elevated fire danger. But it's kind of a weird mix that we have for today because these thunderstorms aren't exactly super dry. In fact, the atmosphere has plenty of moisture to work with. Areas in the southern inland northwest seeing as much as 0.8 of an inch of available water vapor or available moisture above our heads. So a thunderstorm could use that and squeeze it out into some very efficient rainfall. However, because we have the drought, the ground is just primed for new wildfires because of the lightning. Let's show you that example in northeastern Oregon. Again, you see all this lightning over the Blue Mountains. If it falls on top of those thunderstorm downpours, shouldn't be much of a problem, but that's not always the case. In fact, some of these lightning strikes are occurring away from these thunderstorm cores. And if it happens, that would be where our wildfire threat is going to come from. So this is what we're going to be watching for the next couple hours on this Thursday.
Thank you very much, Thomas. We'll keep track of that one. In other news this evening, former Spokane police officer Nathan Nash made his first court appearance today. That's for allegedly raping a second victim while a member of the Spokane Police Department. Our own Ian Smade live in the studio tonight. He was in court today. He joins us now with more details on that case. Ian?
Yeah, Nathan Nash received a different outcome today in his first appearance for his second rape case as compared to the first appearance for his first rape case. In that first case in November 2019, he was released on his own recognizance and remained free until yesterday when he was arrested again. It came as a blow to the defense as the court commissioner decided that Nash could now pose a danger to the community. Former Spokane police officer Nathan Nash appeared in court today in a Spokane County jail jumpsuit. Nash's attorney argued that because the former police officer hasn't violated the circumstances of his release from his previous case, his bail shouldn't be more than $10,000.
If we have a change of circumstance, it would be our position that the biggest change of circumstance that you have before you is that since November of 2019, Mr. Nash has fully complied with the conditions of his release.
Despite the efforts of the defense, Court Commissioner John Stein set his bond at $50,000. This comes as Stein says the similarities between the new rape case and Nash's first rape case show he could pose a risk to the community.
Although you're obviously not in the same position of authority you were in before, it still raises a concern that whatever position you were in, there's a risk that you could try to exert some influence over somebody you see less advantaged than you, I guess is the way I'll put it.
Some of those similar details are outlined in the probable cause document filed in court yesterday. Investigators say Nash met both women while responding to calls where they were assault victims, and that the alleged rapes happened when he followed up with the victims alone to take photos for evidence. The court documents say doing follow-ups to take photos of victims was outside of Nash's duties. Police also say the 40-year-old female victim in the new case, who court documents say considers herself disabled with a learning disability, also described a tattoo of wings on Nash's back. Through a search warrant, police say Nash does have a tattoo on his back that matches the description given by the victim. The similarities weren't the only reasons given by the court commissioner for his decision to set Nash's bail at $50,000, the amount recommended by the prosecutor. He also says that as the number of charges rise against a suspect, so do the chances of them fleeing.
My experience, those odds go down the more cases that are filed, and a person may tend to think maybe things won't go their way and create a risk of flight. You are looking at an exceptionally long possible sentence if you were found guilty under either of these.
The judge also pointed to the fact that investigators believe Nash turned off a device that would have tracked him during the crimes. His next appearance is set for August 17th at 9 in the morning. Back to you.
Ian, thank you very much. All right, still ahead tonight. It was a terrifying moment for a 10-year-old boy when a man tried to lure him onto a boat in Coeur d'Alene. That's when the staff of a local business stepped in to help the boy escape. Tonight, we'll speak with the employee whose watchful eyes saved him from a predator.